I would say it. What comes to mind for me is music, because like we'll have forms of music, which is a great form of self-expression. But then you'll have people say, at least when we do our music, they'll call it things like ghetto, or they'll say it's noise or something, or even the original the original reason that they put the parental advisory thing, that was originally specifically for black music, and it was a form of censorship, because you'll have black families go, see their artists, it's fine, but then with hip hop, and I feel like maybe even some jazz albums, or any type of music, you feel like you can't show those things to your family, especially as a parent, because on one hand you want your kids to experience their own culture, but then you'll have some company saying, oh no, this isn't for your kids, and you should show them this like clean white artist. They wouldn't put that on white artists, and again that goes back to like separating yourself from your culture. And I feel like that's a form of censorship, if that at least comes to mind for me.
Yeah, I think when it comes to art, I feel like a lot of it is like kind of censored from us, because I feel like the ways that we can like represent ourselves, one way that I feel like black art is like kind of like censored is like through like the whole Afro thing, because I felt like lots of people like view this one idea of like an Afro, like big. It's either like it's big, perfect, and like round, right? And then it like no other way can be like represented. So like all I thought about when Afro, I thought like the Jackson 5 Afro, like perfectly shaped, perfectly round. And then like the older I grew, like the older I got, right? I saw that there was like many different like types and styles. Like even when it came to hairstyles, I was like, I didn't even know like Bantu knots existed until like I think Abby last year talked, or I think she wore them in her hair for like a week, yeah. But it's like they want us to view like ourselves as like a certain image, and that's it. And if you're not within that standard, it's not good, it's not right. And then in that way, it's censored from you, and you don't get to see like yourself and other characters, or like just in general, right? What are your? No, you record. You record. I'll take for my phone. Or we can do.
So next question. In the conversation about censorship, Black history, and contemporary Black culture, what comes to mind for you?
I would say the first word that comes to my mind is stories, right? So I think about who is controlling our stories. Definitely, even again, referencing myself as an artist, as a dancer, you really have to fit into a box as to like what it means to be a Black dancer, or to fit into like what's people's palettes can handle, right? And so I find that a lot of the times what tends to happen is that if you're not fitting into certain stereotypes as an artist, then people don't want to see what it is that you're going to bring to the table. Think of a movie like Black Panther. That was a movie that was quite good, that it told a story that was outside of the stories we're used to of slavery, of Black suffering, etc. But then there was still this ending of a white savior that had to basically liberate the people, right? So this is kind of what comes to mind, is this always just, we have to fit into these boxes to be accepted. And if we're not, then someone else is controlling what our story looks like.
I really like that, especially I relate to that stories piece.
Yeah.
Even thinking about the stories piece, like I really relate to that. I feel looking at books specifically, like you're looking at either literature that's African literature, or like just general like African American literature. Even the books that people tend to hear more about, or more like, The Hate U Give.
Yeah.
Like that book's good. It is good. But then you also have like amazing African classics, like Things Fall Apart,
Yeah.
Andy Okinwa, these works, or even books that I haven't heard about, or books that
Chimamanda,
Chimamanda
yep.
Ngozi Adichie is amazing. And then you have all these books that people don't give as much credit to because they, I don't know, it's like it's not what's familiar to them. It's just, for example, one of Chinua Achebe's books. The one that came after Things Fall Apart, not
I know the one you're talking about. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. But yeah, that's just a man living his life in immediately post-colonial Nigeria. People aren't really going to pay as much attention to that book as they would to On the Come Up, another Adventure Thomas's book.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yep. Definitely.
So moving on to the third question. How do you think, okay, sorry.
In the conversation about censorship, Black history, and contemporary Black culture, what comes to mind?
What comes to mind?
That's pretty good. So I studied history in university. This was my first degree before I took my teaching degree. And I liked to take summer classes and spring courses, and it was a way to get ahead. But one of the most interesting courses I took was called The History of Rock and Roll. The History of Rock and Roll. And the basis that I kind of found out was that rock and roll is based off of the blues, and the blues are a predominantly Black genre, or at least the origins of them are. And then when you think of rock and roll today, is it predominantly Black? Definitely not. You think of kind of the king of rock and roll, Elvis Presley, and how he is this like known as the founder kind of, or the popularizer of the genre of rock and roll. But if you kind of look at some of his most popular songs, they were written by Black artists. I actually compiled a list of songs that are popular. They're Elvis Presley songs, and they're originally written by a Black artist. And I just wanted to read that list out. So there's Hound Dog, and it was originally recorded by Willie Mae Thornton in 1953. That's All Right, originally by Arthur Crudup. Tutti Frutti, originally by Little Richard. Shake, Rattle, and Roll, originally by Joe Turner. My Baby Left Me, written and recorded by Arthur Crudup. Lottie, Miss Claudie, originally by Lloyd Price. Money, Honey, originally by Clyde McPhader and the Drifters. Mystery Train, originally by Junior Parker. Fever, originally by Little Willie John. And those are all Elvis Presley songs today, and they're all written by Black artists. I think the interesting piece, right, we're talking about the segregated United States when Jim Crow laws were a thing, where Black people were treated very, 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 very poorly. To the point where there was, separate TV stations or separate TV times for Black artists. And meanwhile, you have a white artist that is profiting off of Black culture and also utilizing the blues to kind of build rock and roll to what it is today.